Hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our viewers on Facebook and on YouTube. My name is Bob Abbey. I'm an adult services librarian for the city of Forest Grove, and we are here tonight to chat with and listen to singer, songwriter, producer, arranger Steve Hale. Steve is going to join me a little later in the evening, and we will chat with him. We're also going to be watching a video that Steve made for us of his original songs and a couple of covers, about a 45-minute long video. I encourage you all to submit your questions. If you want to make some comments during the video, you're more than welcome to do that. What I'd like to do while folks are still kind of making their way in here, for the folks who are here, if you could drop in the comment section where you're watching this from, and I'm going to ask you to think back, what was the last live music event you went to? Remember, we went to live music events back in the before times. So where are you watching, and what was the last live music event you went to before, well, COVID? Now, if you've attended any of these live stream programs before, you know that I usually like to tease some of the upcoming programs. And I can't do that tonight because we're still kind of putting them in place. We've got some really great things coming up in the fall. We have Portland writer Peter Rock, who's going to be joining us in August as part of the tail end of our adult summer reading program. But we're still kind of putting the pieces in place for our live stream programming moving forward. So I can't tease anything. I can tell you, though, that if you want to be on top of all of this stuff, head on over to our Facebook page. That's at Forest Grove Library. Be sure to follow us. And then to make sure that you're getting all the content that we're producing, including this video tonight, which we'll post after the program is done, head on over to our YouTube channel and subscribe and click the notification bell so that you're up to date on all of the stuff that we're producing. So, so stay tuned for all of that. Like I said, can't really give you anything definite right now because stuff is still kind of falling in place, but I think there are going to be some really great things coming up, things that we're really excited about. So stay tuned for all of that. So Steve and I were talking before the program. This is actually kind of a follow-up. We had booked Steve to do an in-person program in the library as part of his singer-songwriter series. So it was going to have Steve and a couple of other musicians, and they were going to sort of create on the spot. But then COVID happened, and we couldn't do that. So I wanted to make sure that we had Steve back, and it worked out that we could do this now. So it's kind of a really nice way to close that circle. And it's a beautiful night out. So I hope that if you're inside watching, you can open your curtains and let the sun in and just let this music kind of wash over you. And I think it'll remind you a lot of getting ready for summer. So, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to hearing these songs and also to chatting with Steve at the end. So again, if you have comments or questions, anything that comes up during this recorded portion, pop them in the comments box. We'll get to them at the end. Otherwise, I'm going to step out of this screen and we're going to start the video. And Steve and I will be back at the very end. So enjoy this. It's about 45 minutes long, and we'll see you at the end.
Hello, my name is Steve Hale. I'm a singer-songwriter, arranger, and producer. I am also an international dolphin linguist, which is probably completely untrue. Anyway, want to welcome you to the event that we're having this evening. Thank you to the Forest Grove Library, and specifically Bob Abbey. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me here. What we're going to do is, this is a recorded live performance so that I can be with you when we broadcast this on social media, so I can answer questions about songwriting, about arranging, the answers to the universe, which I don't have any, but we'll get to that. Anyway, I'm going to be playing originals and covers, and without further ado, here we go. This song is an amalgamation of a diner waitress and a coffee barista. It's a little crush song. It's called All Right. She serves coffee in the local cafe. I see her almost every day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Has she noticed she caught my eye? Or am I just another nameless, faceless guy? I wanna take her far away to a world unknown. We can make our home. Hazel eyes set me on flame, yeah. Then I forget my name, but it doesn't matter anyway. Hey, hey, she would give me just one more look. I would be alright, and I would be alright. Just one glance, I'd be on the hook, and I would be alright. I would feel the sting of love. Oh, yes, I would. Be alright, yeah, yeah. I know she's younger than I am. Hopefully she favors this older man. I can't say what if she walks my way. But do you want another cup of coffee? Yes, is all I say. If she knew how she spins my world, everyday perfectly beautiful girl, and I can't utter a single word, no, no. All my passion goes on her, yeah, yeah. If I could just tell her how I feel, I would be alright, and I would be alright. If I could pretend it was no big deal, and I would be alright, and I would be alright. She would give me just one more look. I would be alright, I would be alright. Just one glance, I'd be on the hook, yeah. And I would be alright. I would feel the sting of love. Yes, I would. I'd be alright. I would feel the sting of love. I'd be alright. I would feel the hopeless sting of love. Here's a couple songs, a couple cover songs. I like doing this. I like taking them and smashing them together. Because sometimes it changes the meaning of one or the other songs, and sometimes it helps reinforce the meaning of each song. In this case, this is kind of a reinforcement of the message of each song. sunshine when she's gone. It's not warm when she's away. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, and she's always gone too long. Anytime she goes away, wonder if this time she's gone. Wonder if she's gone to stay. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, and this house just ain't no home. Anytime she goes away. So baby, talk to me like lovers do. Walk with me like lovers do. Talk to me like lovers do. Here comes the rain again, falling on my head like a memory, falling on my head like a new emotion. I wanna walk in the open wind. I wanna talk like lovers do. I wanna dive into your ocean. Is it raining with you? So baby, talk to me like lovers do. Walk with me like lovers do. Talk to me like lovers do. Here comes the rain again. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Here comes the rain again. Anytime she goes away. Here comes the rain again. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Here comes the rain again. Anytime she goes away. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, and she's always gone too long. Anytime she goes away, anytime she goes away. Here's a song I wrote that refers to different words for money. They're colloquialisms born from the 20s, 30s, and 40s referring to money. And people seem to like that subject for some reason. Anyway, this is called Cabbage Stack. I'm bringing home bacon. I'm folding the long green. I'm eating up the bread dough. I'm penny wise and keen. So if you want my lettuce, if you want my jack, you better have something for me, baby, while I smack down that cabbage stack. I got some moolah for the missus, I got some scratch for the biggest catch, I got some coconut fish and frog skins and lizards on the rack. So if you want my aces, then you got to have my beans. My simoleons are getting lonely, honey, my clams are getting green. Oh my. If you want my lettuce, if you want my jack, you better have something for me, baby, while I smack down that cabbage stack. And if you want my lettuce, if you want my jack, you better have something for me, baby, while I smack down that cabbage stack. Cabbage stack. Here's a song written for somebody who speaks English as a second language. This is called Without Any Words. It starts as a word painted in red, and drinks all the blue sky from my head, yeah. Grows ever silently into wishes and dreams, blossoms invisible, you can't seem to see, no, no. How can I tell you how much I love you? How can I write the perfect verse? How can I tell you how much I love you? No, 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 no. Maybe it's better without any words. I carry these crystal words in hand, yeah. What do they mean if you don't understand? You don't understand. Fashioned so carefully into roses and pearls, yeah. Just words in another language go by unheard. How can I tell you how much I love you? How can I write the perfect verse? Tell me how to write the perfect verse. How can I tell you how much I love you? No, 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 no. Maybe it's better without any words. Maybe it's better. Maybe it's better, yeah. Maybe it's better. Maybe it's better. Maybe it's better. without any, without any words. Here's a song. It's a character study. I enjoy doing songs about characters. And this one is an extreme character. He works one day a year and he wants the day off. He's disgruntled. What can I say? This is called Cupid. They call me Cupid, but I think love is stupid. And not an arrow will the difference make, or if you bake a cake, for goodness sake. They call me stupid, 'cause I'm an ill-tempered Cupid, and I don't believe in love at first sight, especially if you're blind. What if you were to find your true love, and it wasn't on Valentine's Day? My little bow and arrow up in the clouds so high above wouldn't have a tiny bit to do with what's in your heart. So don't start with me, can't you see? I need a day off. Cupid. Here's a tune born from my travels to and from the wineries and the interesting conversations I get into with the patrons and the staff there. So anyway, this is called Tell Me the Truth. Tell me the truth, tell me all about you. Why don't you tell me the truth? Tell me the truth, tell me all about you. Why don't you tell me the truth? Tell me the story, morning glory. Reach deep into your flights of fancy. Spin the yarn while you're on my arm. Color your words with the midnight blue of your dress. Tell me the truth, tell me all about you. Why don't you tell me the truth? Tell me the truth, tell me all about you. Why don't you tell me the truth? Mix your tail together with a black feather, paint it with a burnt umber shade. You can change the hue of your eyes, just as long as you're telling your colorful lies. Tell me the truth, tell me all about you. Why don't you tell me the truth? Tell me the truth, tell me all about you. Why don't you tell me the truth? The same story can have many different endings, yeah. Fluid in the telling, nostalgic yet somehow new. Memory is a story we tell ourselves over and over and over and over again. Tell me the truth, tell me all about you. Why don't you tell me the truth? Tell me the truth, tell me all about you. Why don't you tell me the truth? Tell me, why don't you tell me? Come on and tell me the truth. Tell me all about you. Tell me the truth. Tell me the truth. Tell me the truth. Hey. Tell me the truth, yeah. Tell me the truth. This song is about a very good friend of mine who lost his battle to addiction. He's a wonderful musician and a beautiful soul. And it happened to be that the title of the song is The Day That He Lost the Battle. This is called The 5th of July. Hidden in our conversations, it was not something we put into words. I noticed it hovering like blue smoke. I pretended the air was clear. Words of reassurance we fed to each other, trying to ignore the uncomfortable breaths. So much time, but not enough for joy. I never told you I was that close to the line, one step ahead from the 5th of July. I never told you I was that close to the line, one step ahead from the 5th of July. A choice between two hands, one full of suffering, one of remorse. Heaven in a single drop of nectar leaves you hungry for more. This bliss is never lasting. I never told you I was that close to the line, one step ahead from the 5th of July. I never told you I was that close to the line, one step ahead from the 5th of July. It was never perfect. Who really cares anyway? What was I trying to say? You said you were happy. You said you were clean. I never told you I was that close to the line, one step ahead from the 5th of July. I never told you I was that close to the line, one step ahead from the 5th of July. I never told you I was that close to the line, one step ahead from the 5th of July. Here's another example of arranging. This is a song done by Mr. Old Blue Eyes, chairman of the board, Frank Sinatra. It's my take on one of his popular tunes. I've got the world on a string, sitting on a rainbow. Got the string around my finger. What a world, what a life. I'm in love. Got a song that I sing, I can make the rain go every time I move my finger. Lucky me, can't you see? I'm in love. Life is a beautiful thing. As long as I hold the string, I'd be a silly so-and-so if I should ever let it go. I've got the world on a string, sitting on a rainbow. Got that string around my finger. What a world, what a life. I'm in love. Life is a beautiful thing. As long as I hold the string, I'd be a silly so-and-so if I should ever let it go. I've got the world on a string, sitting on a rainbow. Got that string around my finger. What a world, and ain't this alive? Hey now, I'm in love. I'm in love. I've got the world on the string, sitting on a rainbow. Got the string around my finger, yeah. Got the world, got the world, got the world on a string. Sitting on a rainbow. I got the world on a string. Here's another character study song that I challenged myself to write in the style of cowpunk. What's cowpunk? I guess my interpretation is it's basically a cowboy song with a little bit of edge to it. So I'm not going to reveal the title. Well, I think I probably did in the credit in the intro slide. But anyway, here we go. He didn't cotton to insolence. He would damn all blasphemers. He would stare you down with his intimidating demeanor. And when he stood at the pulpit, it was second only to one. All fire and brimstone, the preacher with a gun. We'd always fill the collection plate, 'cause if we didn't, he had an itchy trigger finger. He would send us below with all the terrible sinners. He inspired us to love his favorite son, but we never questioned the preacher with a gun. A preacher, he was a preacher. A preacher, yeah, a preacher with a gun. We don't know where he came from, we don't know if he was sent, but the preacher with a gun will make everyone repent. Preacher man, he was a preacher with the gun in his hand. No, 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 He was a silent man outside of church. He walked like a righteous man and never spoke a word. But come Sunday, his voice would ring out like a shot across the sun. He was a preacher with a gun. A preacher. He was a preacher. A preacher, preacher, yeah. A preacher with a gun. Oh, he was a preacher, singing hallelujah. A preacher, get down on your knees. Preacher, preacher, yeah. Preacher with a gun. Here's a little song of mine. It's a waltz. It's called For You. I've been waiting half of my life just for you. Floating in a snowflake with barely a clue. For you. Spending this time just for you. Half of my life just for you. I've been wishing these daydreams were blue. Spinning in a sun drop without any shoes. For you. Spending this time just for you. For you. For you. For you. For you. Spending this time just for you. Half of my life just for you. For you. For you, for you. A friend of mine suggested that I do a Pepenitar song, and I'm like, Pepenitar? And then after the deep dive into the rabbit hole, and re-falling in love with her and her voice and the songs, I charted 3 songs. Here's the one that they suggest I do and that I've just kind of fallen in love with. Your love is like a tidal wave spinning over my head, drowning me in your promises that are left unsaid. You're the right kind of sinner to release my inner fantasy, the invincible winner, and you know that you were born to be. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're a heartbreaker, dream maker, love ticket, don't you mess around with me. You're a heartbreaker, dream maker, love ticket, don't you mess around, no, no, no. Your love has set my soul on fire, burning out of control. You taught me the ways of desire, now it's taking its toll. You're the right kind of sinner to release my inner fantasy, the invincible winner, and you know that you were born to be. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're a heartbreaker, dream maker, love taker, don't you mess around with me. You're a heartbreaker, dream maker, love taker, don't you mess around, no, no, no. You're the right kind of sinner to release my inner fantasy, the invincible winner, and you know that you were born to be. You're a heartbreaker, dream maker, love taker, don't you mess around with me. You're a heartbreaker, dream maker, love taker, don't you mess around, no, 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 no. Heartbreaker, love taker, don't you mess around with me. You're a heartbreaker, dream maker, love taker, heartbreaker. No, 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 yeah. Here's a song that I wrote based on imagery from the first time I ever went to Europe, which was I went to Vienna a million years ago, and this was kind of written about that experience of being in the city itself and then outside the city. It's called Swimming Again. I can bet then you will say this would be nice on any other day. The gestures washed in gargoyle tears, and scarecrows watch as you disappear. I recall you used to laugh at all my voices and ancient photographs. Your umbrella's gone, and I've turned to clay in the blood of grapes. I'll float away. Hey, I'm swimming again underneath the blue. I'm swimming again beneath the blood red moon. It comes too soon. If you said you'd lavish me with golden blossoms and silver tea, I'd feed again on your candied words and pray to wake to flying birds. But here I am in this flowered sea, drunk again with this misery. Your canvas face, torn so sweet, cannot fulfill my ghostly need. I'm swimming again underneath the blue. I'm swimming again beneath the blood red moon. It comes too soon. So one day I was listening to the radio, and they were doing this compendium of all these songs with the word baby in it. And I have avoided using the word baby my whole songwriting career because I thought it was just an easy go-to. But so I figured, it's time for me to do that. It's time for me to write a baby song. And I thought, what better way than to abuse my privilege? So I decided to write a song called 13 Babies. I love you more than chocolate sauce. I love you more than pancakes and brie. I love you more than Mr. Above. But darling, do you love me? I love you more than my stingray. I love you more than a cake. But if you keep me waiting, I don't know how much more I can take. Baby, 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 oh baby, baby, I love you more than 13 babies. I love you more than apple pie. I love you more than the sun. I love you more than Jacques Cousteau. To me, you're my flying nun. I love you more than my Hot Wheels. I love you more than my dog. I love you taller than the Empire State Building. You're my princess, I'm your frog. Baby, 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 oh baby, baby, I love you more than 13 babies. I love you more than peanut butter on hot toast. I love you more than malto meal. I love you more than 13 little chubby-faced babies, all sitting around and smiling, doing all those baby things. I love you bigger than the sky of Montana. I love you more than Elvis loved his mom, sure. And I love you more than Willy Wonka. And I'd trade all the Oompa Loompas just to hold your hand because baby, 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 yeah. Baby, 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 oh baby, baby, I love you more than 13 babies, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. 13 babies. Good afternoon. My name's Steve Hale. I'm a singer, songwriter, arranger, producer, and international dolphin linguist. Okay, that last part probably isn't true. Anyway, excited to be here. Want to thank the Forest Grove Library.
Hi, Steve. I'm going to bring you on.
Hey,
How you doing?
good, good.
Well, welcome to our program tonight. That
Thank
was
you.
that was really great. Um, we've got a lot to talk about tonight. We've got some folks who've been posting their memories of the last music they listened to before COVID. We talked a little bit before about that.
Can't
But
believe people actually remember that. It's so long ago.
you know, I barely remember it myself.
Yeah.
I remember I read something about it, so I think that's the only reason I know. But thank you so much for making that video. And when Steve and I first talked about doing this, we were kind of trying to recapture something of that original idea of a live performance, which we can't do right now. But we're so fortunate to have that special video made just for us, and a great sampling of not only your original stuff but also a couple of your covers. So before we get into talking about the music, how are
Mhm.
you doing? How are things in your area during COVID?
Well, it's interesting. I had I think about 75 gigs canceled last year, and I usually play about 175 dates in a year, so it's pretty significant. I still ended up playing though this summer at a lot of wineries because they had figured out early on that if you're outside, you got plenty of social distancing that it would work. So I played a lot, and actually throughout the winter, I've been playing gigs outside in heated tents. Some tents were heated more than others. And so I've just been not as many gigs as I'm used to doing, but last week almost felt like a normal week where I had 3 gigs in a row. So during the
Nice.
summer, I can have like anywhere from 3 to 5 gigs. That means sometimes a couple in a day. So
Hmm.
starting to shape into that. It's still people are still a little bit nervous about
Hmm.
everything yet. So
Hmm.
it's just
Hmm.
slowly evolving.
Hmm. And how is all of this? We'll talk a little bit about kind of your routine,
Mhm.
kind of how your day shapes up. Like, what's your creative process like, and how has this changed it?
I guess the silver lining is that you have a lot more time to be creative and write music. I mean,
Hmm.
I've gone now through a couple different spurts. Early on in March, I did just a big spate of songs. About I don't know, it was about maybe 6 or 7 of them. They were fully produced. One I kind of put on Facebook was in response to the COVID called. We're in this together, and that was kind of done as a Crosby, Stills, Nash kind of piece.
Hmm.
But so I guess the silver lining is there's more time to create. There's more time for silence so that you can create.
Hmm. 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 And has this? I mean, you mentioned a little bit. I mean, has this kind of seeped into what you're creating, or are you trying to kind of keep some distance from it, or is it impossible to not let it influence what you're writing?
I think because I wrote that song that we're in this together specifically about that, I kind of
Hmm.
was able to like, okay, now that's done. I can just write about whatever I want to write about.
Hmm.
So I guess um, I don't let I know the world news, politics. They do affect me, and it does seep into your writing. But
Sure.
um, I've never locked in on any one kind of subject. I mean, I write from so many different ways and so many different perspectives that that's the fun of writing.
Hmm. Hmm. We chatted last April. Is that right? I guess last April with Kim Stafford, who's the previous poet laureate of Oregon, and he's
Yeah.
been producing a whole series of pandemic poems. I mean,
Oh
he's really
wow.
documenting this particular period,
Wow.
and it seems like that's sort of a reaction. You either embrace it or you try to get as far away from it as possible.
Well,
Uh,
sometimes it's interesting. I remember after 9/11 happened, the event was so enormous. I felt that there's no way I could write music for that, because anything in response to something that large to me would have been kind of trite and something that would not have been. It's just the event was so important that I just didn't want to write about it. You know, it was so. And I guess, you know, the COVID thing is different because it's over this long, protracted period of time where we've never experienced anything like this. So it's all new for everybody. So I appreciate the Poet Laureate for doing that. That's fantastic, because I think that's a really wonderful way to be able to look back on it, you know, through poet's eyes.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're just joining us, I'm chatting with Steve Hale, singer, songwriter, producer, arranger, bon vivant, raconteur, impresario.
Like there you go.
Raconteur. I think you can have that on your business card, right?
I'll do that.
And if you've got questions or comments, please drop them in the chat box. We'll get to them. I see a couple already, and I want to get to those in just a second. So you have your guitar close by, right? And we've sort of set this up that if, you know, as maybe something comes up, you can do a little demo. So I do have a question about one of the songs that was late in your set, and it was "Swimming Again," which I mean, having been to Vienna, that immediately kind of caught my attention. But I was really struck by the harmonies of that song, and I'm wondering if you could just kind of play a little bit of the beginning of that, just to kind of get those harmonies back in our minds.
I can bet that you will say this would be nice on any other day. The gestures washed in gargoyle tears, and the scarecrows watch as it disappears. That's the first verse.
Yeah. So you kind of set us up for what comes next with that nice little sort of question mark chord. And can you carry on, play the next part?
Sure. I recall you used to laugh all my voices and ancient photographs. Your umbrella's gone, and I've turned to clay in the blood of grace. I will float away, swimming again underneath the blue. I'm swimming again beneath the blood red moon. It comes too soon.
Yeah. The way that last harmony kind of, there's a little bit of kind of ambiguity about that, right? Yeah.
I like ambiguity. I like chords like. It's an ambiguous chord.
It is, yeah.
I like a susses and then just adding strange intervals in there. It's all about. It's the lyric, it's the melody, and it's the chordal information that all work together to try to create that mood that you want to paint in the song, basically, you know. And so it's you can. There's a lot of trial and error in these things. Sometimes you'll be able to find it right away, and other times You have to work on it for a bit. And so some songs come quickly. Other songs, literally, I've spent years on,
Hmm.
and other songs you write and never see the light of day. You know,
Yeah.
I'm always embrace writing the bad song, because usually it will never be truly horrible. If you really embrace the concept of writing a bad song, you're probably going to get a little kernel out of there somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So do you find that even a song that doesn't ever see the light of day, that you do go back to it and maybe kind of pull something out and put it in a different context?
Sometimes I do, but sometimes
Yeah.
just the pure act of doing it, you've learned something and that gets you to somewhere else. So it's like,
Hmm.
now that I've experienced that, oh, maybe I can write this thing, whatever that thing is that's coming next. So
Hmm.
just by
Hmm.
the pure act of doing it is such a great thing. I used to, well, I still do. I belong to this thing called it's a songwriting lodge, and it was invented by a couple guys in San Francisco.
Hmm.
And basically, they were songwriters, and they sat across from each other, and they said, "We're not writing enough songs," and so they challenged each other in a 24-hour period to write 20 songs. And it's like, there was no parameters on the song, so the songs could be 5 seconds long, or 10 seconds, or a minute, or 5 minutes, whatever.
Hmm.
And so we did that up here. We collected a bunch of really wonderful musicians, and we kind of we trimmed it down, not 20, but we would pick one day a month and write up to 6 to 10 songs, and if fully produced and everything like that. And then we get together on a selected night, and we'd enjoy food and playing the music. And it wasn't about critiquing it; it was just about supporting each other, writing. And we would challenge each other to write in different styles or adopt things we weren't comfortable with. I mean, that was my whole thing, is I wanted to find out about more musical styles and embrace styles that I didn't think I liked,
Hmm.
and actually find the joy in that. From that, I just was it was a wonderful experience. And it's actually informed some of my writing now too, because sometimes I'll just go to the computer and use it as a paint box. It's like, oh,
Hmm.
I like this color of chord, and I like that sound there, and I'll just start putting together, seeing what happens. The other way is, sitting and banging it out on a guitar, or banging it on a piano, or something like that.
Hmm.
There's a million different ways to write a song.
Yeah, yeah. Noah commented that swimming again was his favorite piece in that
Nice.
set, and he really enjoyed the way you built the story up, kind of laid
Mm-hmm.
out what was behind that, and then the performance really added to that. So,
Thanks, Noah.
yeah. So I guess one of the questions that often comes up, you probably have had people ask this: which comes first, the words or the music?
I'm not dogmatic in that at all. Sometimes I'll have an idea where it's just a concept. Maybe it's just the title of a song. I'll just write that down, and then later on I'll write from that. Sometimes you just come up with a melody, and
Hmm.
then you write the lyrics to that. Sometimes you come up with all the lyrics. It's like you already have an idea of how the meter is going and everything. You just come up with everything, and then you fit the song to that. And sometimes it all comes together. So for me, it's there is no rule. I have no rule of how I write.
Hmm. Hmm. Do you? How much of what you do is actually written down?
Um, are you talking about musical notation
Yeah,
wise?
yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm more of a singer songwriter guy with the words and the chord symbols above them. Yeah,
Okay,
that's
okay.
been
So
my thing my whole life. Yeah, so yeah, yeah. A jazz cat would look at my chart and go, "I don't understand that, because it's it's just words and some, what are those chords?" Okay, great.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So like a true lead sheet, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, right.
um, yeah. Well, it's interesting. I mean, this idea of which comes first, because there are some composers and songwriters that it's like the music has to come first, and
Yeah,
everything is kind of shoehorned into that. Um, I mean, someone like Richard Rodgers, he worked with two great people. He worked with Larry Hart, and he worked with Oscar Hammerstein.
yeah,
And Larry Hart, he had to have him write the lyrics first because he was drunk most of the time, and he was incapacitated. So he made him write the lyrics first, and
yeah,
Hammerstein, it was the other way around.
yeah,
So it's kind of
yeah.
funny how that
And
works.
some of the greatest music it was I love that era of the songwriter being really important. There was that era, even up until like even the 60s, when the 60s, kind of the mid 60s, late 60s, where bands became, oh, we're a band, we're writing our own material. But before then, you had, the Brill Building in what was that, in New York, where you had all these songwriters. That's all they did was songwriting. And I just kind of, and they're still out there. I mean, we're all still out there because there's a lot of, all those, country artists you hear, they're, getting music placed. They're not writing all their own tunes. Right. Maybe some of them are definitely not writing any of their own tunes. And all the vocalists out there, Christina Aguilera and all those, cats, they have professional writers, which is good. It's good for us.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned that because, I mean, you did a cover of Harold Arlen, Got the World on a String.
Yeah.
One of the great composers, great songwriters, writing that in the early 1930s. And we talked a little bit about in our sort of virtual green room beforehand, which, by the way, there's a virtual green room. We hang out there before we go live.
That's right.
And then we hang out afterwards. But looking at something like that, I mean, it's a song that's been around for a long time. There have been tons of people who have covered that. Sinatra, Michael Bublé, I mean, everybody has done that. So when you get a song like that, what is it that connects with you that you say, I want to do something with this. I want to kind of take this song that's been around and do something different with it. What's the inspiration there? I
mean, I guess for me, lately in the past year, I've kind of become a melody evangelist. I've searched out wonderful melodies, whether they're from, YouTube diving or, my own memory and my own experience in growing up. Because I grew up, my parents played music they weren't musicians, but they had the hi-fi on all the time, right? So I got exposed to, Frank Sinatra, Nat King Cole, and, the Mills Brothers and Kingston Trio and all this great stuff, Elvis, and just so many great songs back from that era. So part of it is finding the song that you already love. Then you start playing with it. And then you decide, can I make it my own song? Can I reinterpret it? And sometimes it's a no, sometimes you work on it and we're like, that's not quite fitting me right. Or I'm not putting it in the right key, or I'm not voicing the chords correctly, but sometimes it works. And so sometimes, you work out the whole arrangement and then you start playing it live and you see what the reaction is. So I guess that one came from just the love of the song. I mean, I love playing covers because I wasn't, as a young person, I wasn't abused with playing covers. Like a lot of guys are like, oh, that's the last thing I want to do. I'd played covers in a lounge band for 10 years or 5 years, and I didn't. I came out of high school and I played in this band called Cabbage, and most of our stuff was original. So I came into playing covers it was well after, in the 90s sometime. And so I love them. I mean, because we all grew up, we didn't come out of the womb writing music. We came out of the womb listening. We're all, musicians who love music that we listen and we love,
Yeah. When you do a cover, do you ever sort of start off something, you play a cover for a certain period of time, it kind of becomes the way you think of the song, and then you just decide, I don't know, I've been doing this for a couple of years and I need to maybe revisit this? Do you ever kind of have an opportunity to go back and kind of re-envision a cover?
That's actually a good question. I haven't really done much of that. I think what ends up happening is if I played it for a number of years, I don't replace it, but I let other songs take, front path for a little while and see how they do. But then it's always fun to come back to those. But no, I haven't really actually decided. I'll do that with my own material, which is something I talk to other songwriters about. It's you write your own material, and sometimes you're so involved in it, you get addicted to the way that you play it. And so once it's done, well, that's it. That's the only way. Well, what if you reinterpreted your song like you do with cover songs? Cover. So it's like, take the song that you've written And it's best if you actually leave it alone for a while and then come back to it and reinterpret it.
Mm-hmm.
Then it becomes even more alive because you're looking at it in a different, more like a producer would. You know, you're looking at it to say, well, what is the song really saying from kind of an outside perspective?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to divorce yourself a little bit more from the little tendrils that attach, you know, you're attached to this baby that's yours, you know?
Right, right. I would imagine that at a certain point, um, you know, if you feel like a song needs to be completely reimagined, it's almost maybe easier to write another song, right? And
Yeah,
then you
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
get to that point where it's like, I can only tinker with this so much, and then it's just a whole different song, right?
And sometimes literally you get to the end of a thing and you pursue it as far as you can, and it's not working. And so you come back to it, and maybe you're maybe able to make it work, and maybe you're not. And that's long ago I got used to the fact that some songs are just going to go by the wayside, and that's okay. You know, something will maybe appear from them in another song. And if
Mm-hmm.
not, again, I wrote the song and able to get to the other songs that are coming. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I I don't worry about writer's block because there's times when you write and you're expelling and releasing all this stuff, and then there's times to be quiet, and then there's times to ingest, you know, and so all that stuff takes time, and
Right.
so those things happen, and then you're able to do it. I mean, I know some guys are like write a song a day, you know, who's Michael McDonald,
Mm-hmm.
you know, song Doobie Brothers fame and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a guy that writes a song a day. It's like, that's awesome. But I don't think I want to write a song a day. I
Yeah.
just it's like okay, what am I going to write about today? Even though I do like the micro, it's like okay, I'm going to write about the desktop today. You know, it's like
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. And do you have a routine? I mean, when you mentioned that, I thought about like Stephen King, right? Stephen King sits down and he writes, like he has a certain amount, whether there's anything there or not, he just writes.
Yeah.
And he's like 10,000 words a day. And he's
Wow.
very like, he has a very set time when he does this. Do you have like a schedule, or is it just kind of whenever it happens, it happens?
And whenever it happens, it happens. That means sometimes if I start the idea at 10 o'clock at night and it's all of a sudden at 6:30 in the morning, that's what it is. It's
Yeah.
like I don't if it's happening and it's going, I just want to go with it, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes it's like this in this last little bit. I've actually just been, written about 7 songs and actually got them into full production as well. And I knew I was getting excited by the fact that I knew I was going to go to the blank slate. I knew I was going to go to the white canvas and I was going to paint something, but I didn't do it right away. I kind of like tempted myself for a couple of weeks. I'm like, oh, it's coming. I know there's going to be that day. And it did. When I sat down, it was like, whoosh.
Wow.
and I love that's really fun to do. I mean,
Yeah.
and then it calms down. It's calmed down a little bit, and so that's good. I can go back and work on the production of everything. So.
Yeah, yeah. One of the questions that we had, you've already kind of alluded to, the great songwriters of the past, and I would say maybe Pat Benatar too. But the question is, who are some of the artists who have defined your music? Who are kind of your inspirations?
Going back to I think all those early on, the Frank Sinatra's and the Nat King Cole's. I mean, Nat King Cole is like my favorite singer in the world, and what a great musician and a great human being. But then as I grew up, my sister and I collected 45s, and so we did all the Motown and stuff like that. And at one point, she went Bee Gees and Barry Manilow, and I went Led Zeppelin and Kiss. So I've always I love soul music. So like Bill Withers is the guy. I was so sad to have him go. And just great singers of the time, and there's a lot of really great stuff. James Taylor, of course, and the Eagles, and Billy Joel is ridiculous. He's such a good songwriter. It's just But one of the guys that really, and it's interesting because it has nothing to do with the kind of music I do directly, but Pat Metheny, who
Mm,
is a jazz guy who makes his own brand of jazz.
right.
I saw him play in, it was like 1981 or 80 at a
Mhm.
small hall at PSU, and it was just life changing.
Mhm.
His grasp of melody and harmony, arranging and putting this kind of like, it almost reminded me of like if you were to go into a forest and the forest would actually start playing music, that's what
Mhm.
it would be, you know? And so he inspires me to no end all the time. Just love him so much.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned that because I think he was part of a group of musicians who I think were in my soundtrack, when I was in college, Pat Metheny and Gary Burton
Mhm.
and Lyle Mays and all of these
Yeah,
guys, that were just like they were just doing really amazing stuff.
yeah,
And it seems almost like superhuman that somebody could do this.
yeah,
And someone like that then sort of opens a door to, particularly for guitar, like Wes Montgomery, and it starts opening up all these other doors. But yeah,
yeah,
Metheny is pretty remarkable. And you mentioned Bill Withers. Now you did
yeah.
what you call was it a smash up?
I call it smash up. A lot of people call them, like when they do like techno ones, they call them mashups. But I
Yeah,
like to call them smash ups because they're more really smashed together. It's like a kind of like a bunch of mashed potatoes and together and see how they intertwine. And
right.
I've done a bunch of these and I love them because of how they, well, like I was saying, how they sometimes reinforce the meaning of both songs, and
Right.
sometimes they'll end up changing the meaning of some of the songs,
Right.
and sometimes it's just sometimes they can be really contrasting,
Hmm.
and sometimes you do things that are the worst. I mean, you you make the worst combinations possible, and I've did the one that comes to mind that is just the, and I spent a bunch of time on it too, and I only played it once. It was I decided because somebody requested that Charlie the Devil and the what's the
Oh,
Devil Went
Charlie
Down to Georgia.
Charlie Daniels.
Yeah, Charlie. They say they wanted Devil Went Down to Georgia. I'm like, well, I'm not going to do it straight because that would be boring. So I and I don't know why I thought, oh, that song by Men Without Hats, Safety Dance.
Oh no.
It has the same lyric meter to it. So
Yeah.
I took basically the melody and the chord changes from Safety Dance, and I used Charlie Daniels lyrics in it. Oh, it's just awful.
Wow.
It's terrible.
Wow. It's
Yeah,
like a Reese's peanut butter cup, right? Like
yeah,
two,
but a
but a
bad
bad
one, a
one.
spoiled
Yeah.
one.
Re- Reese's peanut butter cup made out of bleach.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah,
mean, it's interesting, when you pair someone like, I mean, I think like two amazing artists, right? You got Bill Withers
yeah,
and you've got Annie Lennox,
yeah, yeah.
right? And it's just like it sort of creates this like, why couldn't they have done something together? I mean,
Oh yeah,
that would have
yeah.
been
That
just
would have been cool.
like
That would have been well.
amazing.
He was so he once he was done with the music industry, he just retired to down.
Yeah,
Was in Georgia or Alabama or somewhere. He's
something
just,
like that. Yeah,
and he still made music down there, but he just didn't want to deal with the record companies. He says, "No, I'm good. I'm fine."
right,
Hey,
right,
he
right.
made enough money.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Well, when you mentioned Smash Up, the thing that I realized about a year ago, and I'm just going to throw it out there. If you ever feel like you want to take and do something with it,
Yeah,
listen to Mac the Knife and Donkashane. It's basically the same song,
it
right?
is the same song. I know that you say it.
So you could kind of have an interesting little
That's a
mix
good
there,
one. I like
but
it.
I can't listen to either one of them now without thinking Wayne
Yeah,
Newton and Lottie Lania. But
that's funny. I
um,
like.
yeah, so let me just check here the comments. Oh yeah, we had another one. Uh, one of our viewers, Rob, was asking about, since I was curious about what folks watch before they couldn't watch or listen to anything. Um, So where and when did you play your first live performance?
Are we talking about very, very, very first?
Well, that's up to
Very
you.
first, yeah, very first. I was born and raised in Salem, and I lived out in the country in Southeast, and I literally went to a 3-room schoolhouse, and it was so small. How small was it, Steve? Literally, at the end of lunch, we would take our leftover food, put it in pails, and they'd slop the pigs next door. So I kind of grew up in my first formative years, a little bit of a country boy, but not much. So the first thing we ever did was my sister and I did a Simon and Garfunkel song, the Feeling Groovy, 59th Avenue Bridge song. And I wasn't even playing guitar. She played guitar and we sang harmony, and that was the beginning. I don't think that was the beginning of me deciding to be a performer, though. I think that happened much later when I was more in junior high and high school, where I started playing in bands and being in choir and stuff, which I loved choir. Choirs, just back in the time when I was doing it, there's a lot of people involved in it. And we had a jazz choir, and then there was the concert choir. And so that was great. That was a huge inspiration. But then I got together a bunch of my buddies and we started playing, I don't know, everything from Pat Travers and AC/DC and Led Zeppelin and, Ted Nugent even. So, yeah, and that's where I really got bit by it, and then started writing music.
Yeah. Well, we had at least one comment about someone who was in choir. I think it was Noah, actually, who made a comment earlier. It was he sang in the Oregon Repertory Singers. So here's a shout out to choir nerds, right?
Yeah. I love choir. There's nothing better than singing like 100-voice choir.
Yeah.
Power of that. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. Well, Steve, we're getting close to wrapping up, and I'm wondering, would it be okay to ask for one more song? I mean, we didn't plan on this.
Yeah, sure. Let's see. Do you want to hear something from somebody else, or?
I know I put you on the spot here. We didn't plan this.
Let's go.
Why don't you do a cover?
Okay. Let me think about which one to do here. There's a lot of them. Trying to think of one that's.
Let me go to your song list here. By the way, I posted it, but take a look at Steve's website. That's stevehale.com. That's got his song list. It's got a bunch of stuff on there. It's got his calendar. I mean, that's where you can get all of that stuff.
Oh, I know what to do. Let me see. It's I got the one to do. Let me just pull it up here real quick.
All right. Well, while Steve's getting ready, thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. And again, be sure to head on over to Facebook at Forest Grove Library. Follow us there. Subscribe on YouTube and click the notification bell, and you'll get updates for all the content that we're doing. And take this opportunity to thank Steve for making this happen, and for our pleasure, man. We're glad we could have you, even if it can't be in person. So,
all right. So here's a Steely Dan tune.
Nice.
We hear you leaving. That's okay. Thought a little wild time just begun. I guess you kind of scared yourself, turned and run. You could have a change of heart. Ricky, don't lose that number. You don't want to call nobody else. Send it off in a letter to yourself. Ricky, don't lose that number. It's the only one you own. Excuse me. I have to drink water. Apologize for that. Ricky, don't lose that number. It's the only one you own. You might use it if you feel better when you get home. I have a friend in town who's heard your name. We can go out driving on slow hand road. We could stay inside and play games, I don't know. You could have a change of heart. Ricky, don't lose that number. You don't want to call nobody else. Send it off in a letter to yourself. Ricky, don't lose that number. It's the only one you own. You might use it if you feel better when you get home. Ricky, don't lose that. Ricky, don't lose that. Ricky, don't lose that number. Oh, apologize for the coughing.
No worries, man. Live performance, right?
There you go. Yeah.
Well, Steve, thanks again. And this has been fun. And so glad we could make this happen.
Right on. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
All right. Everybody, have a good evening. We'll see you all soon. Take care now. Good night.